Hello and welcome in from Sunnyvale, California and deep within the confines of the Vierra compound. I am Mark Vierra. This is my weekly technical analysis video to go along with my trading log. Just go over the images here. There's no buying or selling recommendations, but you can check out what I'm trading here at HotStockMarket.com. YouTube viewers, I will have links to all of this stuff. Now, the week that was, whopping 2% move for May. We moved up, for the week 1.21%, which is exactly how much we moved up last week. Kind of interesting. So 2% for the month of May. We're 4% for the year. Alright. So if you've been following my trading log and videos, you know that I'm pretty overall bullish on the stock market, and I hear the market needs to correct 10, 15, 20%, whatever. Now, keep in mind, we were up 30% last year. Alright, we came out of the gate down 3% in January. Of course, we got that back in February. And just March, April trading sideways. So, I think, given that last year was 30%, and we're up 4%, that could be your correction. Just a little something to think about there. Now, I think the theme of this video, and let me drop this down, and we'll get into the monthly chart, but I've got mixed technical signals, and I usually try to give you a good projection what I think my guess is for the coming week. And I'm really torn, and I'll get into why. First, let's just take a quick look at the monthly, and I'm always pointing out, now we have a close, this candle is closed, alright, so we've got a nice bullish monthly candle now. Always pointing out how previous tops become bottoms, bottoms become tops. This is just a basic technical analysis where resistance, becomes support, and now I've marked this line in here. Now, okay, what's so important about that line? Well, if you go back, let's go back to this candle. We'll go to the high of that candle. Okay, that is the support for the body of this current candle. We can keep going back. I'll go back to this candle. The high was the top is resistance, is the support body for this current candle. And you can kind of keep going back, here a little bit above that, but so that I'm just trying to get across here that support, resistance does become support, and and this is a long-term monthly chart. This is the SP500. This is the basic root of my analysis in these videos. As you'll see, I'm taking a look at the SP500, not the Dow blue chips, not IWM or the Russell 2000. I like a little balance between the two. So let's see, where are we going from here? Weekly charts. Let's queue up a few of these here. This is just a wide lens view, basic overall of where I've drawn my trend line, support and resistance. And then I'd like to zoom in here, and was kind of calling this as a trading range for last week. And then I said if we break above or below these key pivots here, then we'd see either a higher or lower trading range. And we do see this weekly candle is within prescribed, Control Z. So what else can I say? It's a nice bullish weekly candle. We had a kind of a inverted head and shoulders, but not really too well defined on the weekly. Was more or less looking at the ascending triangle. Let's take a look at that. Now, I'm looking at the ascending triangle, and commented how we had a confirmation break above, the confirmation break line. And let's see, equidistance, I'm looking at 1950, but in terms of the conservative, where I put a conservative multiplier, and you can see in my trading log where I get these multipliers from is a website, thepatternSite.com, and this guy Bulowski, he's got this really huge database where he has tracked the performance of these patterns. I really dig that site. It's in the very bottom section of my trading log. You can see where I reference these links to. So we're pretty much meeting up, a few more handles to go to this 1930, and we'll call that potentially target met on that pattern. So that's it. That's all I've got on the weekly. Let's get into some daily charts. Alright, wide lens view. Here's the daily trend channel, and we'll zoom in. Okay. So here's what I get when I zoom in here. I'm looking at this previous top here as an ultimate. If we break below, this would be what I'm calling a main support pivot. So break below that, and I think we'll see a trading range down in this area. And of course, if we break above this pivot, then to the moon. Who knows where we're going from there. But I do want to get into parabolic, and we do have a rising wedge, and I'm going to get into that in chart patterns. So this is what I'm looking at in terms of daily trend lines. So let's see. One of the other things I was pointing out last week too is we were at the bottom of this Bollinger Band on a contraction, and we were I was suspecting that as soon as we start seeing this thing expand out, that price would move up to the top of the Bollinger Band. Now, of course, we've not only moved up to the top of the Bollinger Band, but we're also breaking up out of the Bollinger Band, which is, overall a bullish sign. But we're going to look at the coming week. I think I'm neutral, but I have a slight negative bias, and I'll tell you why here in the next couple of charts. So, the Bollinger Band is expanding, and so that kind of worked out from my projection last week. Alright, so now we're going to get into some of the meat here, and this is what I've drawn in here. This is probably the most key pattern here is a rising wedge, because as everybody knows, parabolic only ends up one way, and it's very reliable in terms of a chart pattern, just because price can only just keep going up in a parabolic mode for so long before it's going to want to break out of this trend line here. So let's see what else. We had a double bottom, and that double bottom has pretty much gone to an equidistance target within a few handles. I think 1930 was our double bottom targets. We had some pretty bullish signs here with these tweezer bottoms and our three rising valleys, and that took us out of the double bottom. I don't have much else in terms of chart patterns besides this near-term rising wedge. And on one hand, price is very bullish, and no signs in volume. I'll get into volume here in a minute in terms of slowing the market down, but do have overbought indications. So besides the rising wedge, and I don't want to put too much emphasis. This is on RSI. I'm the last one that would be advocating RSI 70, price going to correct, because overbought can stay overbought for a while. We could get a lot of sideways action in here, but it is, besides the rising wedge, and couple that with an overbought RSI. Now, we do have some increasing volume on the move up, which I'm going to say anything above average, and I'll start looking at the candle in terms of if that is climax volume or not. So, I'm overall bullish on the market, and I have a lot of mixed signals. So I think, in this video, I have really mixed feelings. I don't know, is what I want to say. What I am looking at, though, is this trend line here is marking where we did a jump above. We did a gap right here. So I think it is possible that we're going to tag maybe 1930, SPY 193, and possibly see some climax volume and come down and do a nice healthy test of this high volume node right here would somewhat coincide with the support off of this. Maybe even come down below that to seal this this gap in here. I know it's hard to see, but I couldn't blow this up all the way because I wanted to be able to see these volume nodes in here. This would be another, in fact, a low volume node also would coincide with sealing that. Let me get rid of these lines. This low volume node right here would coincide with filling this gap. So I think it's at all possible that we could see some consolidation. I think that would be just lovely to see a little bit of relaxation before the market would want to continue the bullish move. Near-term volume remains bullish. We've got increasing on the move up. However, I do see that the overall volume on this move up is declining. Don't put too much stock into that, but do have also in the background our oscillator is making lower highs on the move up too. So that is a little bit of some bearish divergence. That's a near-term hourly chart. On the composite profile, this is that low volume node that I pointed out. And I'm looking at the initial balance to bring us down a bit lower here. I think we're going to come out of the gate for the new monthly composite with initial balance between this previous top and where our bell curve right here. You can see the high volume point of this bell curve. So I think our initial balance will be somewhere in that area on the monthly composite. And then if we zoom in on the weekly composite and we look at the last week's previous composite high, I think that's where we'll build this kind of B-shaped profile with initial balance starting off below from where price is at. I do think that we'll put the initial balance right here where the TPO is, and of course we could come out of the gate stronger, test 193, maybe a little higher, but I really think that I have just a slight negative bias. And again, in terms of confidence, this video I'm really low on my prediction in terms of confidence. And I think one of the other things here, to show for the bear side of things too, is we have a really low volatility. Volatility is cheap right now, and as many know, that volatility stays cheap for only so long. So Treasuries, I have sort of a neutral bias on Treasuries. What I'm seeing here is also another consolidation in Treasuries, which lower Treasuries usually means that money flowing, that liquidity is moving into stocks, but actually Treasuries have been correlating, and along with the US dollar, we're getting this positive correlation with stocks. So, I'm looking at this trend line here. I think Treasuries might come down and do some testing in this area, but the trend is up on Treasuries. So I think that speaks to indecision in the risk-off market, pretty much covering their bases, so to speak. And another thing to note here too is an extremely low yield that might be good for stocks, in the long term. But right now I think it's anybody's guess, and I'm just guessing. Not a lot of confidence in. I was debating on whether to do a video, but I just wanted to go over why I'm so wishy-washy. Let's see, US dollar is still consolidating in this bull flag, so I think we'll probably see some weakness in the US dollar. Eventually I do think that the US dollar is going to continue the upward move that it's been making. It just really has been pushing up through supply here, and I don't see any climaxing volume. And I think that's usually the big tell, is that climaxing volume. And it's not necessarily like you're going to have to see climaxing volume, but until I do see something of that sort, I'm going to just stick with the trend. You know, if market's going up, that means it's going to keep going up until something comes along to change that. Let's see, what do I have here on the euro? Again, I've just this below average volume. I don't think that is marking any change in the direction is lower, and that's just basically it. You know, we have you know, oversold indicators, so I think we might see some more strength entering the euro, but I don't see a lot of strength entering the euro. I think the trend is still going to be down. And what else do I have? Let's see. So I think that's about it, and I apologize for not having a more decisive, clear guess for the week, but you know, that's the way I'm reading it. Just don't have a lot of insight other than, you know, we've got a low VIX, parabolic rising wedge, overbought indicators. I think we might see some consolidation this week, you know, or sometime or another you got to see the market consolidate. In any case, you can find me at HotStockMarket.com. This is where I have my weekly trading log. I have you know, a thread here, my most candid thoughts, and I also keep track of my non-index trading. I do trade individual names. You can check that stuff out. And then there's my weekly trading log, where I'll have all these images that I went over, and I'll have this up pretty soon. I also want to give a shout out here. There's another great place to find information here is in Reddit. And there's a nice subreddit, StockMarket there. You can check that out, getting some good discussions going on there. And that's all I've got, and I will see y'all on the boards.